Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPen.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. Episode 49. We got a good lineup for you. First up, we're going to be joined by Paddy the Baddy Pimblett to preview his UFC debut against Luigi Vendramini. Really fascinating fight. Paddy's been on the UFC radar for quite a while. He's been signed, or the UFC's offered him contract twice. He turned it down because he didn't feel like he was ready. He finally feels like he's ready to make that walk. And it gets a tough test in Luigi, who's been around for a while. I was coming off a really close loss to Faris Sahiam, but before that, he had a really good return with a head kick knockout over Jesse Arian. Paddy's obviously got his hands full, but he says he's going to really look to show off his striking here. And he thinks this is a fight where he's going to get it out done inside the first round. The UFC is going to see how big of a star he is and kind of just turn around really quickly. And he also joked that he's the biggest star in Liverpool, even though Darren Till's headlining. He says he's going to be the face of MMA pretty soon. He's already the face of Liverpool, and Darren Till knows it. So really good chat with Paddy. But next up, we're going to be joined by Alex Morano to preview his short notice fight against David Zawada. Alex was in Vegas last week when we did this thing to preview where he was cornering Ricky Tercios in that tough finale. And while he was there, the fight kind of got finalized. He said he actually his plan was to fly back to Texas on Sunday, get a few training in at Fortis, then fly back to Vegas and prepare for this fight. But this is something that he was always getting ready for because he was just staying ready. The UFC told him, stay ready. We're going to get something for you. This came about and he immediately accepted, even though it was short notice. Next, we're going to be joined by Modestas Bukauskas to preview his fight against Khalil Roundtree. This is a really good fight. Modestas Bukauskas knows he's fighting for his UFC career. He's 1-2 so far in the UFC, even though his last fight, 17 out of 18 media members thought Modestas won the fight. I thought he won, but he knows he has to just be more active, more volume, and just he knows what he did wrong, and he says this is going to be the best version you've seen against Khalil Roundtree, and he's really looking forward to get a statement win. And we're next going to be joined by Julian Erosa to preview his short notice fight against Charles Jourdain. Julian talks about how this fight came together, of how he actually kind of pitched this fight 2 weeks ago. And Jourdain, he never heard anything of it, but because he thought he wanted at 150, that he thought that's why Jourdain turned him down. And all of a sudden he hears that Jourdain finally accepted. And then it was immediately picking up the pace in the gym and getting ready for this fight. But really good chat with Julian. And then we close things out, talk to Bellator veteran Chidi Njokuani, who's fighting on the Contender Series in week 2. He's fighting Mario Souza, was on the Contender Series last year. This is a really good chat with Chidi. We don't really normally do a whole lot of Contender Series, but Chidi's a guy that's headlined Bellator shows. He's been around. He's fought the who's who in Bellator's middleweight division. So he was kind of like, he said he wasn't too surprised that he was on the Contender Series, but he always wanted to be in the UFC. He said this is the path to get to the UFC. But really good chat with Chidi ahead of his fight next Tuesday, September 7th. But really good chat with all of them. Be sure to share the show, subscribe, and again, thank you all for listening. And remember to tune in every. All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight Paddy Pimblett, who's making his debut here on Saturday. Paddy, how's it going, man?
I'm good, lad. What's happening?
Not much. Big fight for you against Luigi. I just want to first start off, like, I've heard that, I know you've made it clear too, you've been offered spots in UFC, but something that I've kind of heard, I don't know if it is true, I heard you're actually taking less money for this fight in the UFC than you were in Cage Warriors.
Yeah, I am.
Is that kind of crazy to you, or is that just because of how big of a star you were at Cage Warriors and all the sponsorships you could get?
It wasn't to do with sponsorships, lad. It was just me flat fee. Me flat fee was more.
Does that surprise you at all, or is it more just you're going to get more in the UFC eventually?
I'm going to eventually end up getting more in the UFC, lad, so it's just one of them.
And Luigi Vendramini, like, was this someone you had your eye on, or was it just who the UFC offered you?
It's who the UFC offered, lad. I haven't got a clue who he is.
Did you have to kind of look up who he was, or do you just leave that up to your coaches?
I leave it up to my coaches, but obviously I have to have a look at him myself, and he's half snide, isn't he, lad, to be honest?
How do you kind of see this fight playing out? I know you're a guy that likes the bold predictions. I know you've kind of said you're going to finish him. Like, do you think, like, when do you kind of think you're going to finish him?
In the first. I'll be very disappointed if he gets out the first round.
You're a guy, the UFC obviously, I think, is going to like you just with the way you talk. Like, do you just think this is going to be kind of your breakout performance for that North American audience?
Yeah, of course. It's gonna be heavy, lad. It's gonna be brilliant. People are gonna love me, lad. Everyone loves me or hates me, lad. But no matter what, I put bums on seats, lad, and sell tickets to fights, lad, and that's the way it'll always be.
I know a lot of people just kind of view you as a grappler. You hoping to show off some striking in this fight?
I hope Luigi tries to strike with me, lad, because I'll knock him out.
Is that something that kind of annoys you, that people only think you're a grappler and kind of just underrate your striking, or is that something you
Yeah,
like
of course.
and
You know
let
what I
them
mean?
keep underrating it?
It's nice that people underrate it, to be honest. I've focused on me. As everyone knows, I'm a good grappler, lad, so I've focused on me striking a lot, lad, over the past year and a half, 2 years. More so the past year and a half, lad, and people are going to get a fright, lad, when I put hands on people and throw kicks.
Would you rather knock Luigi out, or are you just hoping whatever way, if it's a submission, if it's a knockout, whatever comes, it comes?
Yeah, whatever comes, lad. If he wants to strike with me, I'll knock him out. If he wants to grapple with me, I'll submit him. Just however the fight plays out.
How disappointing is it that this fight got moved from London? Because your walkout in a sold-out O2 would have been insane.
Yeah, it would have been special, lad. Absolutely special. That's what I wanted. Obviously, I wanted it to be in London in the O2, but obviously we didn't get our way, lad. So I'm fighting in Vegas, man, the fight capital of the world. So it's not all bad.
I know the UFC, like we mentioned, they've kind of offered you contracts like a couple times throughout your career, but are you kind of feeling like this was the perfect time to finally make that jump?
Yeah, when I was 21, I wasn't professional at all. I was still a young kid out partying all the time when I won that world title. Then when I was 23, I just moved to lightweight. I was still very small for lightweight. I wasn't cutting any weight. I was still a child, and I was still a child. I'd fighting men, and that showed when I fought Soren Bach, where he cut 7 kilo and I cut none. And now, lad, it's just the perfect time. And lad, back then, I was just a fighter. Now I'm an athlete. You know what I mean? Now I'm better everywhere. You know what I mean? Back when I won that world title, I didn't even have an S&C regime. All I done was jiu-jitsu, striking, wrestling.
With this fight, like I know you've been in lightweight for a while, but do you kind of just feel like a full-size lightweight, or do you think you could still make featherweight?
No chance. No way I'm ever making featherweight again.
It's lightweight from here on out then.
Yeah, it is.
How much better do you feel at lightweight not having to go through that massive weight cut?
Well, lad, it just says it all. Today, Monday morning, I woke up 74.9 kilo, 75 kilo, so I've got 4 kilo to lose. When I fought Julian Erosa and Nad Naramani, I woke up on the Monday morning 77.5 kilo, and then made 66 by the Friday.
Oh, that's insane. That's a lot of weight to cut.
Yeah, a lot of weight, lad. Ridiculous. When I fought Erosa, I lost like 8.4 kilo overnight. When I fought Nad, I lost like 7.7 kilo overnight. And it showed in 5-round fights.
Oh, we're also talking on Monday. Like, when are you heading out to Vegas?
Tomorrow afternoon, my flight is.
Is this kind of like the next best thing? Like, if it couldn't be in London, it's going to be in Vegas? Because I know whenever I talk to UK fighters, they always say the dream's O2 or O2 or Vegas.
My dream's the Anfield, lad. When we do Anfield, that's the main goal, lad. Filling Anfield out in 1 June, July.
And you have your fellow Liverpool native, Darren Till, headlining the card. What's that going to be like for you?
It's going to be good, lads. Obviously, I've got my big sister on the card as well, lad. Me call Molly, lad. So that's going to be good. Whenever me and Molly have fought on the same card, lad, we've both won.
Are you hoping that, like, it's only going to take a few more fights and you pass Darren Till in popularity out in Liverpool?
What do you mean in Liverpool, lad?
I guess you might already be more popular.
Kids walk around with this haircut because of me, lad.
Is that kind of the next thing you'd want? Like, you obviously seen Darren Till's main event in Liverpool, that crowd. Like, is that something you want? Or,
yeah, of course.
Like, before the stadium?
I've already main evented in that same arena, though. So I want bigger and better now. I want Anfield. Like, I've main evented in that arena myself without the UFC name attached to it and sold it out. So I want to do that in Anfield, lad. I want it to be like 60, 70,000 people. And that's what I want to sell out, lad.
Is that something you think it has to be for a title to get that, or do you think just you yourself could sell that out?
No, just me myself. I could sell that, lad. 100%.
And what would that be like then, walking out in front of 60, 70,000 in that stadium?
Goosebumps, lad. Absolute goosebumps.
With this fight too, like, you get your hand raised here, you hoping a quick turnaround? Because to me personally, I think you finish him. I think the UFC is going to try to book you back ASAP to kind of build your star up even more.
Yeah, they are. They're going to want me back in ASAP. I'm going away for a week with the missus, only to somewhere in England like Cornwall with the missus and the dog for a week. But then as soon as that, I'll be back in the gym every day. So I was looking at that 30th of October Fight Island card, lad. I'll get on that, lad, if it allows me. But I've got a feeling that the UFC are going to come back to the UK in December or something, so they might want to save me for then.
Do you plan to call anyone out, or right now are you just looking whoever the UFC gives you?
As I said before, lad, the only person I'm calling out is Mark Zuckerberg on Instagram, lad, to give me proper account back.
You still don't have the Instagram back, which is just mind-blowing. UFC debut, like you're this big star. I can't believe Instagram's not on top of it.
Absolute joke, lad. The cheeky.
Are you like? I know you started a new one, but like, are you just hoping you get that old one back, or are you just now going to give up hope?
7,000 followers, lad. That's my livelihood. That's my business. That's where I earn my money. And they've shut it down because trolls reporting me when they attack me and I retaliate. It's ridiculous.
Just a couple more things on the fight. Like, how weird is it going to be for you fighting in front of not many people? Because you're used to fighting in front of a lot of these sold out crowds.
Yeah, it's well, I'll be honest, I'm used to it now. Like, my last 2 fights have been no crowd. So I've got 2 first round finishes with no crowd. So I'm expecting another one.
And kicking off the main card, like, do you think that's kind of that perfect spot for you because it's going to be live prime time in the UK?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be perfect for me, that, lad. The good thing about it, lad, is when I look back at the omens, lad, every time I've opened up the main card, I've had one of the best performances of my life. So I just can't wait to put on a show for everyone, lad, and steal the show.
Are you hoping like even 1 or 2 more that, like, I know you said October 30th, but if you get October 30th, like there's still a chance to get another one in this.
Yeah. If I come out unscathed and fight on October 30th and then fight again in December, that'd be perfect for me, lad. I'd be happy with that.
How quickly do you think the UFC is gonna push you to fight in these ranked guys? Can you see when they, like, even with Till, like they gave him that cowboy fight pretty early in his career. With Conor, they gave him a lot of these big fights. Like, it seems.
I don't know, lad. It depends because, as I've always said, whatever the name is on the contract when the UFC send me, I'm going to say yeah, and I'm going to fight them. I'm a fighter's fighter, lad. I'm a real fighter. I'm not going to turn a fight down against anyone. Whatever's name is on that contract, I will sign it and I will fight them.
With Molly being on the card, like, how much better is that for your UFC debut? So you guys could just kind of share that moment together.
Great, lad. Absolutely great. As I say, whenever we've been on the same card together, lad, we've got fantastic finishes, lad. Last time we was on the card together, she won a world title and I won by flying triangle.
So you need another highlight reel finish like that then.
That's what's coming, lad. I know it is. The high kick, big right hand, or flying triangle or something.
Oh, the smaller octagon at the Apex, you think that's going to really impact the fight at all?
Lad, a fight's a fight, know what I mean? As long as he's not running away from me the whole time, then no, it won't.
Just 2 more things. I know London is like part of the reason why they couldn't get back over there was stuff was shutting down. Like, are you fully able to train, like, or is there stuff restricted for you?
No, there's no restrictions for us. Like, we're fully able to train. Do you know what I mean? And that's why we thought it would be in England, because there's a boxing event the same night in Leeds with a full capacity crowd.
Last thing, the vacation with your missus. Where you plan on going?
Only Cornwall, lad. It's a 6-hour drive from Liverpool, like, but we're taking the dog with us and that. That got booked when it was meant to be in London still. So I'm going there Tuesday morning, so I'm straight home from Vegas.
Straight home from Vegas on a nice vacation. A big win to a vacation. Can't get this week any better then.
No, it's not. It's gonna be great, lad. Get me win, 50 grand bonus. Go bananas in my post-fight interview. I've become the new biggest star on the face of MMA, and then go on holiday.
All right, well, Paddy, I appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this.
You're more than welcome, fella.
Yeah. All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Alex Morono, who's got another short notice fight upcoming. Alex, how's it going?
Good. I'm actually in Vegas now. My boy Ricky Tercios is on the Ultimate Fighter finale this weekend. So, I mean, we're getting him prepped, and it's awesome. His first official UFC fight. And, man, it's just going to be a cool UFC couple weeks.
Is that basically how the fight came together? You're in Vegas, and the matchmakers probably just saw you and said, hey, we need a welterweight?
No, actually, last Friday, they had said, this fight dropped out, and they know I'm down to take short notice fights. So they hit me up directly with it. And at first I was like, man, I'm going to be in Vegas, but I'm already in such good shape. Like my boy Ramez Brahima, he just fought. last weekend. Then I was actually making the trip up to Dallas to give him some hard rounds. So we were on the grind together. Ricky got his fight coming up. My team in Houston, we have 12 fights over 7 weeks coming up, mine included. So I've just been working hard. Even after my Cowboy fight, for whatever reason, I was really excited and was just training super hard. And it was funny, man. I was training so hard and I wasn't getting any fight offers. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to slow it down. So the 1 week I slow it down, it's like fight week for Ramez. That Friday is when they end up offering the fight. So it actually all worked out really well. I trained super hard. I had a week to rest and then kind of back on the grindstone until the fight.
Are you surprised you never got any fight offers? Because that Cowboy win was a quick win, like a first-round knockout over like a legend like Cowboy. I thought they would have wanted to try to build off the momentum and get you back in there pretty quick.
Yeah, same. I'm not too sure the logistics that go behind that, but I was really hoping they'd offer something within the next like 6 weeks. So I kept training hard and just for whatever reason, I didn't want to rock the boat too much. I was kind of hoping to see what they'd offer. And I'm hoping, I fight next week. I do my job, I get my win, and then I'll try to call a more specific shot. I'm not too sure what that is yet, but I'm gonna ask to fight in December.
And obviously David Zawada, like that's the guy you're fighting. Like I know you're not picking an opponent, but like how much do you kind of know about him? Or was this a spot where you just wanted to fight and this is the guy that was without a dance partner?
I mean, yeah, that's the majority of it. I don't miss UFC fights. I definitely don't miss welterweight fights. I've watched all of his fights. When I was a little earlier in my career, I thought I'd fight him. So I've always watched tape on him. He's good. He's a lot better than his UFC record shows. It's a fun fight. I think it's an exciting fight. I know he likes to stand and bang. He's got good jiu-jitsu. We have actually pretty similar styles. I got a pretty big jump in experience in the octagon. So I'm looking to use that for the fight.
What have you kind of made of his UFC run? Like 2 split decision losses. Like if those goes away, he's 3-1 in the UFC as opposed to 1-3. But his win's a very impressive one, submitting Abubakar Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, his losses are against all good dudes, and his win is against a good dude. He's not had one easy fight in the UFC, and again, I am aware of all of that, so that's all being taken into consideration. I've watched him fight when his fights were live. I've watched my tape. This is a fun one. It's a fun fight to be able to prep for.
How much is these like week, I guess 2 weeks you kind of have, like, is it focused on David or is it more just focused on yourself and getting yourself back into fight shape?
It's more so focused on myself. So what's fun is when I'm just training for fun, I'm often like, emulating other styles from my teammates. And it's nice because I get to try a lot of different tactics. And then like when I focus back on myself, I have a lot of cool new things I can add into my game. And but no, it's about just strengthening myself. Thankfully my cardio has been awesome. There's some sessions I'll hit like 10 5-minute MMA rounds, not a super heavy pace, but like real long duration. I just really focus on like winning each exchange, both the grappling and the wrestling and the striking. So there's a lot of good like long longer paced technical work. And then as I jump into fight camp, I condense that down into like much more short explosive work. So getting like a good cardio bump, it makes my weight drop down super quick. It's a fun process. I almost like 4 and 2, 3, and 4 week long fight camps opposed to a 6 or an 8 week. That almost is overkill at this point in my career. So it's nice. I like these. It's a good payday too.
How do you see this one playing out? Just because David's a guy that likes to kind of keep it standing, he'll wrestle if he needs to. He's pretty well rounded.
Yeah, same. I expect this to go everywhere. I'm always looking for a knockout. Like you watch any of my tape, you don't see me wrestling a bunch or stalling a bunch. I mean, yeah, everyone knows what they get when they fight with me. I'm gonna just do my job and do as much damage within 3 rounds as possible. And I always look for a 3rd round knockout. That way I'm just like ready for the grind game. I know I'm going to the deeper waters, and you'll get the same answer out of me no matter who I fight.
What do you think a win over David does for you? It just kind of gets you on a 2-fight winning streak, another short notice fight. But I still think a lot of people are going to look at that Cowboy one where you probably should have got a bigger name after that fight.
Yeah, you know what? I'm at the point in my career now where I'm getting paid pretty well. So, it was never about the money. It was always about like the martial arts experience and the challenge. And that's very much still so like the primary mindset. But I'll tell you, it's nice. It's nice to be, coming up on my 5th UFC contract. And again, I have zero complaints with how much they're paying me. with a win, I'll be looking at, just under $500,000 for the year. So I'm not complaining. I'm looking to get in, get some money, and just get right back home and spend time with the family and run my gym. That's what I prefer to do.
I remember last time we talked sorry, not last time, but before the Cowboy fight, you were mentioning how you're not really chasing the belts. Like, you'd rather see guys like Jeff Neal or Ramiz, like other guys you work with, kind of get the belt. Is that still kind of the same mindset where you're just kind of interested in those martial arts fights?
I mean, yeah, until I can put like a 4 or 5 fight win streak together and my ranking gets up there, I always made really relative goals. One thing I was always, proud of was my like the realistic nature in my mindset and my goals. So I would always make goals that were within reach. Long-term goals are great too, but sometimes it's like wishful thinking. So yeah, my plan's to win this fight, get another fight, maybe the guy higher ranked, get another win. Then when I'm on like a 4 or 5 fight win streak, ask me that question, I'm sure I'll give you a different answer. But like right now, I'm having fun doing the martial arts. My boy Ricky Tercios, he's fighting, so I'm also going to be splitting my time coaching as well as training and fighting. And that's just, I like to live the martial arts life, in every aspect, and I'm having a good time with it right now.
With you already being in Vegas, like, how much is that a benefit that the PI's right there? Like, that's just a spot you could kind of work out, train, and they got a lot of, like, you can get your physical therapy, so you don't have to go to another gym in Vegas.
Yeah, that's cool. Durability has always been like one of my main attributes. And, so I'm using the PI to like work out and hit mitts and spar with my coaches and my teammates. But I mean, it's cool. The best thing about being in Vegas Fight Week is the PI actually handles all the nutrition. So they're hooking me up with all my meals. So like, man, I'm already dropping weight and, I could make weight on Saturday or on Friday if I had to. And I got a whole another week to do it. This is twice as easy as the weight cut for Cowboy.
Yeah, that's
kind of into place well.
That's what I want to ask. Like, you're not this like gigantic welterweight that cuts a whole lot of weight. Like, I know you've done short notice fights. So like, weight cut shouldn't be a problem then.
No, not at all. It was. I was a little heavier when I got. I was like at lunch with my wife, eating a club sandwich, and I get the call from my coach, and my wife looked at me and smiled. She's like, "You have no appetite right now, do you?" And I was like, "None whatsoever." I was like, "Let's go home. I'm gonna go train and eat some chicken and some eggs."
Who is making the trip out to Vegas with you? Like, is Safe going to be there, or just because it's short notice, you're going to have different people?
Yeah, no. So Safe, ever since I hooked up with him at Fortis, he has been my general and my guide and my mentor. He's just such a tactician. And then my striking coach, Matt Wald, you'll see a lot more of him. He'll be in Ricky's corner. We got another guy who's one win away from the UFC. He's my technician. And then I got my boy Jake Heffernan. He's the guy who I think will be in the UFC soon. He's 8-2 as a pro. And he's like my best warm-up partner. He can strike hard. He can take damage. He can grapple really, really well. So he's my guy to move around with and warm up with. I got a really good system going.
Oh, what's kind of going to be like post-Saturday going to be like? Because I know a lot of people don't kind of arrive until Tuesday. Like, I assume you're probably just going to stay in Vegas. Like, is it just going to be you there, or are you going to bring in people a bit earlier?
No, I'm going home. After Ricky's fight, we're going home. I'm going to train Sunday. I'm going to hit a really big push on Monday. Like, I already got my Mondays planned out. My Mondays don't really change. I hit strength and conditioning, and then I teach a jiu-jitsu class, so I do a lot of no-gi grappling. And then I do like a mock fight. I got this really good 185er who's almost the same build as Zawada, but a little bit stronger. And we do 3-5s hard. And then I rest, I eat, I go back in the gym, I teach my classes, and then I do another 3-5s in the Muay Thai class. Like, after, I'll drill and spar pretty light, and then after class, we'll have all the students stay, and I'll get like a fresh partner. And I got 3 pretty big guys, 285ers and a welterweight, good kickboxers too. So I'll get a fresh guy and really hit a really hard push Monday evening, and then fly back to Tuesday, sharpen up, do my mitt work. My striking coach, Matt Wall, he also is a pretty big guy, really good kickboxer. So he's good to move around with, and he's like a wizard of a pad holder. So I'll get a lot of my work in. Then my boy Jake will be with us, so I'll get all my grappling work in. It's a good system, man. And the PI is a fun place to work at. The hotel we stay in, during all the COVID protocols is nice. It's like big suites with like, you can see there's like a kitchen, there's a fridge. It's cool. Everything's taken care of.
You get your hand raised here. Like, you think this is probably it for you this year, or you think maybe you might get one more in?
I think they'll give me a fight in December. Like, I know some of my teammates at Fortis, they're matched up in December. We'll have to wait for the announcements, but I'd love to fight in December. I know my wife, she's got a long overdue vacation. So after this fight, we're going to hit a pretty cool trip to the beach for a week. And then I'll get right back to the grindstone, man. I don't have any other hobbies, man. I stay in the gym. I like to train, whether it's going up to Dallas or just training in Houston. I mean, I like to train. I like to fight, and my body can take it. And especially while I'm, in my 30s, I'm gonna try to hit that Clay Guida, road, and just keep on fighting and grind it out until the UFC tells me to stop.
I'm not sure how much you knew about this card, but this one was actually supposed to be in London. Like, that's why there's a lot of English fighters. Like, how kind of glad are you now that London kind of got shut down? It was at Vegas, because I assume if it was in London, you probably weren't going to get the call.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? Of all the places I've not fought in, and I fought all over the world. London, the UK, was the one spot I haven't been. I would have actually been okay with that. Vegas is always awesome. It's very convenient. And I was very, very aware of this fight card. Man, I'll tell you, Paul Craig versus Gustafsson was a fight I was really looking forward to. I was really bummed to see that one drop off. I'm a big fan of Paul Craig. If I'm not mistaken, our debuts were actually on the same fight card. It was when maybe not actually. I think his debut was one after my debut. But I remember seeing him early, and he subbed out some Brazilian dude that was in Sacramento back in December 2016. And I just really liked seeing him fight. And that was just a fight I thought would have been a really fun one to watch. But I mean, it's a decent fight card. It'll be interesting to see Darren Till. I know he's a bit of a character. Derek Brunson's like one of the most overlooked 85ers. I mean, if you look at his last 10 fights, he's fought nothing but like top 5 85ers. And the main event's really good. There's a couple other good fights on there, but this is one of those fights, man. I want to get in. I hope in the first fight of the night, I want to get in, fight, go home, get paid, and then just get back to the gym.
Who do you think wins that main event? Because I kind of think Till gets it done.
You know what? Every time Brunson gets matched up with one of these, specialty fighters, he does well. I'm just this is one of those fights. This is like the Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz fight. I think this is just a fun fight to watch. I'm really not rooting for anyone in particular. It's a cool one. I'm excited to see Darren Till in the flesh because I know he's a big dude. But again, man, I don't care. I think it'll be a fun fight. I think they're going to talk some trash, and I think it'll be entertaining.
Just last thing, like, you look at your last, 2020, like, you went 1-2. Like, I know you moved into that new gym facility we talked about. It was shut down for a while. Like, what's kind of been like this year compared to last year, where you could go 2-0, maybe 3-0 this year? Like, you made a lot more money. The gym was fully running. Like, it seemed like a totally two different kind of years for you.
Yeah, man, we got a good problem at the gym. Especially the kids program, but the gym is too full. People keep coming in and training, which is great. And my wife, she runs the business side alongside myself. I teach all the classes, and she's like, we have to put a cap. And I don't want to do that. And by no means because of any money, but I just don't want to tell any kid no to martial arts because it changed my life so much. So we're having to stagger classes by 15 minutes to let the parking lot empty and then fill back up. I'm having to hire on more coaches, and it's just awesome, man. 2020, we had to effectively sell our house back to the bank to fund the build out of the gym. And when the gym opened, we're this better work out, and business was just so much better than we ever could have predicted. My team in Houston, we've never been so busy with fights. We got 12 fights in the next 7 weeks, and that's just what's booked. We got a lot of cool stuff in the future, and it's just awesome. I can't be thankful and grateful enough, but it's also no coincidence. Look at even Ricky Turcios' career. I started training with him when he was 15 years old, and we've just been working super hard, and it's nice to see, after a decade and a half, everything started to really fall in place. And, he was me and Matt and Ricky were sitting talking, and Ricky was like, man, I can't believe after all these years we made it here. And I looked at him, I was like, Ricky, the craziest thing is for you, this is only the beginning. A decade and a half, down the road, this is just the start of your high level mixed martial arts career. I feel like I'm a good, 50% of the way through mine. I feel like I got another good 15 fights in me. It's just cool to see what the future holds. We're both starting to make some real money. And it's just cool, man. I just keep working hard. I'm very grateful, very thankful. And I'm very happy to have found Safe up in Dallas. He's such a good guide and mentor. And anytime I have any questions on anything or any doubt, anything at all, he very clearly and directly sends me the right way. And it's nice to have him as a mentor. And I feel like I'm a big mentor for my gym. It's just cool to have the levels of guidance.
All right, well, Alex, I appreciate the time you doing this. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, we're joined by UFC light heavyweight Modestas Bukauskas, who's back in action here pretty soon. Modestas, how's it going, man?
Going very well, thank you, sir.
Fighting Khalil Roundtree, like this is a guy, a well-known guy in the UFC. Like when you found out you would be fighting him, like what kind of went through your head? Because this is a game opponent and a really exciting opponent.
Yeah, really like extremely excited as soon as I got because anytime you get a message from your manager given another matchup, of course you get like the goosebumps, the tingles and everything, like the rush of happiness and excitement, and this time was no different. Obviously, hearing that it was Khalil, and obviously being such a big star, like for me, he was like a bit of like an idol or role model, I guess if you say. Like when I was just starting out my pro career, I believe he was on The Ultimate Fighter, and I remember watching him with my dad and thinking he was a great fighter. So yeah, obviously when I got that name, I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. I can't wait for it.
Your last fight, like what do you take away from that? Because I thought you won that fight. If you look at like, I don't know if you know the website, it's called MMA Decisions. It's all the media members score. Like 18 media members were polled and 17 had it for you. Like I thought it was pretty clear you won. It's like what do you kind of learn from that when you lose that decision?
Yeah, you know what? It's quite funny as well. I remember I saw a guy on that thing from Polsat Sport, which is like a Polish media website or whatever. Even he thought that I'd won. But anyways, realistically, I learned a hell of a lot from that fight. In my opinion, it seemed like from the scorecard, it was the first round that pretty much decided the fight. And I don't know. I think the first round was the round that I did the best. But at the end of the day, I feel like I was able to let more of my techniques out in that fight. I felt it seemed like I was a bit more loose. So I had a better, I was just able to bring more things that I know I can do out there into the cage in the UFC. So, it was definitely a good almost starting point as to what is to come. I've been speaking about for ages. I just want to be able to show everyone what I'm really capable of, and that was definitely a step towards that. There's a lot of things that needed to be done better strategically. And that's why I've made, obviously, the appropriate changes since that fight. So, if I had won that fight, would I have made those changes? Probably not. So I'm actually grateful grateful in a way that, that I lost that fight, because then I could make those changes to now be able to bring the best out of myself.
Do you think that loss, like you kind of mentioned there, but that's only going to help you now in the long run? Now kind of you got to be more active. You got to do certain things to kind of win the rounds.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, definitely. I think what won him that fight was more due to pressure and forward pressure. So I know in Vegas, realistically, unless you're having forward pressure and stuff like that, because I mean, if you look at the stats, I landed more significant strikes in every round. So obviously, that's not something that's such a massive factor as you would think, but it's good, man. Like I say, it's all a learning experience. It was a good fight. He's a very, very game opponent. I knew it was going to be tough going into it, but yeah, I knew that I was going to make the appropriate adjustments afterwards.
Khalil Roundtree, like, what have you kind of made of his past couple fights? Because like, he has that Eric Anders fight where he knocks him down like 6-7 times and he looks better than ever. And then his next two, he gets like quickly knocked out by Ion Kutalab. And then his last one, like he just didn't seem to throw or didn't seem to like do a whole lot in that fight.
Yeah. I mean, obviously he's a very powerful puncher. He's waiting for the right moment to land his shots. And, we've seen him on The Ultimate Fighter, get into some real brawls. And, I think obviously it seems like cardio may have been an issue in some of his fights to be able to throw more, but obviously he's very dangerous when he is throwing and he is landing. Like in one of his fights, it looks like he was slowing down and then he just comes out and lands even more hard shots. So he's a very, very game opponent, but there are obviously holes in his game, and that is what I'm looking to exploit.
How do you see yourself getting your hand raised? Just because we've seen Khalil be finished before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking to wear him down, do my thing, man. I'm looking to win this fight by finish. I need to go out and do something spectacular. this is a kill or be killed mentality when I go in there. He's an amazing fighter, like I say, someone that I've looked up to. But that's my mentality going into every fight. I've got to go in and finish him.
Well, with this fight, like, how disappointed are you that it's now just happening at the Apex? Because there was all those rumors happening at the O2 in London, which would have just been crazy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was a bit of a bummer, obviously, hearing the news that they decided to move it to Vegas. But obviously, for business reasons and because of COVID and stuff like that, it had sort of that was the only option that they had left. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do like Vegas. When I went out there before, like the whole. Just even the whole being of just being out there and the environment and stuff like that, like I don't know, it's sort of rung quite a nice bell to me, so I actually enjoyed it. But obviously there's nothing like fighting in front of 20,000 people in front of your own crowd. I knew that would have definitely played towards my favor. And I've been visualizing and dreaming of that moment to happen, and unfortunately that's just going to have to be prolonged a little bit. But at the end of the day, I've got to go and do a job, so that's all I'm focused on.
And it would have been like the perfect card because England hasn't had one so long. It was like Paddy Pimblett's debut, you're on it, like Molly McCann's on it, Tom Aspinall's on it, and it all kind of leads up to Till's big fight. Like just that energy in the crowd would have been insane.
Oh yeah, it would have been absolutely spectacular. But like I say, I'm definitely looking forward for a card like that to be built in the future. And I mean, it just shows we've got like a load of British talent. I mean, we've got like a load of British guys on this card, anyway. So now we're coming over to Las Vegas to take over. The British invasion, as they say.
Big question about this fight for a lot of like opponents I've even heard is the visa issues, just because it got announced as Vegas, like not like you guys are all planning for England. Like, is that been a concern for you trying to like now get an American work visa?
Nah, it's not actually. Just because obviously I got one granted for my previous fight, and from what I understand, everything's all good for me to go through for this next one also because it's still valid. So it was a good thing that I actually had a fight before in Vegas, because now it means that it just makes that transition into another one even easier. So yeah, obviously I'm very grateful that I've already had to do all the meetings and stuff like that and going to the embassy. So yeah, that's already been done and out of the way.
How much pressure is it on yourself? Just because I know most UFC contracts run 4 fights. Like, do you kind of think you might be fighting for your job here?
100%, 100%. I feel obviously I did have an entertaining fight in my last one. Most people thought I won, even the commentators thought I won. But at the end of the day, it's what the result is on paper. The main thing is for me to go out there and put on the best performance ever, the most spectacular performance I've ever put on in my life. Go out there, put it all on the line. Literally, like I say, I'm going out there like win or die sort of thing. For me, it's obviously a very important fight, but my back's been up against the wall, a lot of times in my career. I've had that before, so I've already been in that situation. Obviously, there's a lot more, you could say, even more on the line, but when you have so much confidence in your ability, confidence in your training, confidence in your coaches and everything like that, I definitely don't see myself losing at all in this fight. I see this as a very winnable fight, and I'm just going to go out there and literally leave it all out there, leave everything out there in the cage. And that's all that I can ask.
You get your hand raised here. Like, are you hoping maybe one more in this year? You think this is probably it for you?
We'll see what happens, man. At the end of the day, depending on what performance you give, what the matchmakers are thinking, anything is possible, really. We'll see. Hopefully, I'm not, I'm not injured or anything after the fight, and everything's all good, and I'm all healthy. Then yeah, of course, I'll definitely be looking to have one right at the end of the year. So I know they've got a lot of fighters on the roster and a lot of fights that they need to make. But yeah, man, like obviously, I want to stay active. So we'll see what they have in store.
How much do you think your last fight's going to help you prepare for this one? Just because fighting at the Apex, it's kind of like a whole nother fight. Like you're fighting in front of like 50 people, like the smaller octagon, like everything kind of is a lot different than a usual fight.
Yeah, so it's obviously I've got a lot of familiarity now. I know what to expect. I know what all the protocols are and stuff like that. So yeah, everything just sort of, I guess you could say, falls into my favor in terms of like, I know my surroundings and everything like that. And yeah, so I just can't wait to go out there and do the job.
Assuming you get your hand raised here, like, is there anyone in mind you want to fight, or is that more just you're worried about kind of building a winning streak?
Yeah, at the minute, like, the only opponent that I have right now is Khalil, and that's it. The opponent I have in front of me, I've got to go and do the job, and then things will open up afterwards. At the end of the day, like you said, everything's on the line here, so I've got to go out and put on a performance. And for me, I literally cannot wait to go out there and do that.
Every time we talk, I bring up the vision board. What's kind of the new updates to it?
The vision board stays the same in terms of me going out there and winning and doing my thing. But I have a lot of plans for the future. Always the goal and the vision is to become the UFC light heavyweight champion. For me, it's to get re-signed by the UFC with another 4 fights and to go on and create my legacy, and no more losses. That is the main thing. I've had 2 losses before, and then I went on a massive win streak, and I believe history will repeat itself. So they'll leave it on that.
I know your last fight, a lot of your family and friends couldn't go out. With Vegas being more open, everything kind of opened up a bit more. Are they coming out to this one, or do they have to stay back at home?
No, I think still the border stuff with, in terms of getting COVID tests and even just being able to enter the US and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not 100% sure what all that is, but at the end of the day, it's good that I think the fight is going to be aired for UK time.
Yeah.
So obviously we're going to be fighting very early in Vegas, which means that they're all going to be able to watch it. And I already know a lot of my friends and family that they've already asked me, and so it's going to be in prime time for them. So it's going to be as if they're there anyways,
Yeah, I was looking. The prelims are at 1 o'clock Eastern, which is what British time, like
1 o'clock Eastern. I believe that is
6 p.m. So you'll be fighting probably around 7, 8 o'clock at night, which would be perfect for all your friends.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Get people on a night out. Do you know what I mean? Get the system going.
When you go there, do you basically just what is kind of fight week for you? Is it basically just lock everything down? Or are you gonna try to explore Vegas and see the sights and everything?
Well, I mean, last time I was there, we were in a bubble. You're not allowed to do anything. I mean, the most scenery that I saw was Whole Foods, and obviously the UFC PI and the Apex and stuff like that. But mate, for me, being a British fighter, I think for any British fighter at all, just being in Vegas, seeing the Mandalay Bay and all these amazing this architecture out there and stuff like that, and just the open plan of everything, it's just that in itself is an experience. So it's not like I really need to see anything else. For me, it's I really just want to focus on the fight and do what I have to do in the cage, and then you can sort of enjoy yourself. It's you have things in mind of what you want to do and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you go out there, you put on a performance, and then you can go and party hard and get the shots rolling,
Do you plan on staying in Vegas for an extra day, or is it right after the fight and fly back home?
Yeah, well, look, from what the UFC has sort of planned, it's for me to leave pretty much the next day. And at the end of the day, if those flights are being covered, then I'm going to take that. There'll be plenty of other times for us to go out and explore Vegas and party up. Obviously we got to go and get the job done and do everything properly. And then like I say, all these experiences are yet to come in the future. So it's okay. We'll restrict ourselves a little bit now, but I know good times are coming.
You'll just have to wait until you're on a pay-per-view in Vegas when everything's open, and then you can bring the family and friends over to be all good.
Exactly. You know that, mate.
Well, Modestas, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this.
All right, nice one, brother. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Really nice talking to you.
All right, we're joined by UFC featherweight Julian Erosa, who's taking a short notice fight. It seems like a lot of the fights are short notice for you. Julian, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going good, man. I kind of like the short notice thing. For me, I stay in pretty decent shape all year round. So honestly, it's more about the weight for me. And so for me, I'm just I told him that I would take the fight if he would accept doing it at 150, because for some reason, I think no matter how big or how small I am, I think my body just at 146, 147, 148, those pounds are so hard to get off. And just physiologically, my body has such a difficult time at that specific weight. especially if, I'm a bit heavier in between fight camps.
I just quickly want to touch on your last fight. Like, what do you kind of take away from that one?
Yeah, obviously it didn't go my way, and it was one of those ones that ended quick, and it's tough to really take anything from the performance. I've watched it back, and he just landed a good shot. I felt like my chin was tucked. I had been working a lot on keeping my chin underneath my shoulders, but he was just able to sneak it in there really well, and that's what he's known for. And for me, I think the biggest takeaway was that there should have been a little bit better game planning against a guy like him. He's a striker, a really good striker at that, with power in his hands, and the little bit of a hole in his game is his grappling. So I should have made it a little bit more of a dirty fight, clenched up with him, took him down, wrestled him a little bit, and tried to get making a wrestling match instead of just a striking match. But it's one of those things, it happened in a minute, and there's not much mistakes that were made. He just landed a good shot.
This fight against Jourdain, like, it only got announced, I think, 9-10 days away from the fight. Like, when did you find out that you'd be fighting? Like, the exact same day it got announced?
Well, so what happened was about 2 weeks ago, I was talking to my manager about trying to get a fight lined up because the UFC has been booking out so late, and I don't know if it's because of they've been signing so many guys because of COVID and stuff. But it just seems like there's a lot of guys on the roster, and they've been booking out like November, December, and I figured if I didn't get a fight scheduled, I might not be able to fight till next year. And I wanted to fight this year, and so I was talking to my manager, and he sent me this short notice fight 2 weeks ago with Jourdain, and that the UFC was going to renew my contract or renew a new contract with them, and so that was a big incentive for me. But I was sitting at about 176 pounds, which is 30 pounds over the weight limit. And I just didn't think it was smart to spend 3 weeks of just cutting weight to try to fight to my potential. I like the Charles Jourdain fight. I just don't like it if I have to cut 30 pounds within 3 weeks. And so I messaged my manager the next day, and I said, hey, if he's willing to do a 150 catch weight, give me 4 pounds. It's only 4 pounds, but for some reason, those 4 pounds at the end are just so difficult for my body frame. And so I can get it done if I have, months in advance and I get on it early. But, being short notice, I told him, hey, if he's willing to do it at 150, I can manage that. It's what I did with Sean Woodson. I took that fight 3 days notice at 150 and was able to make the weight pretty comfortably. And so, I just feel like, I'd be able to do the same here. And so, but yeah, it took the next day I asked him that, and 2 weeks went by and no response about it. And so I just figured he was mulling over other opponents, and he probably had a whole list of, of names he might have been going through. And so I just figured he just declined my fight because it might be a catch weight because I couldn't make the weight. And so I figured it wasn't going to happen, but I, still training hard. And I was already in the process of wanting to get my weight down because the opportunity had presented itself. And I felt like, I don't know, for lack of a better word, I felt like a bitch for not taking it because I'm one of those guys that likes to be, ready to go at any time. And at a 3 week notice, I should be able to make the weight usually. I was just a little heavier, and I just figured I wasn't going to get a fight until November or December. So that's why I was a bit heavier. And so, wanting to get the fight at 150 was great for me. And I got, the big incentive was getting my contract renewed with the UFC, and just wanted to be one of those guys that Sean Shelby can count on. Like, he calls, Jason House up. He's like, yo, I need a featherweight. He knows that, most of the time I say yes. I said no for a day, and then I was just mulling over my brain about it. And I was like, this is such a big opportunity for me. Like, I need to just take it. And I wanted to see if there was any possibility that we could take it like a catch weight. And, it worked out for me.
Happy with the new UFC deal then? Like, is it 4 fights, I kind of assume? I know that's kind of the standard they sign people to.
Yeah, I think it was I think the UFC likes to incentivize people by taking some of these fights by offering them a little bit more money, and that there's no difference in what they did for me. So they offered me a little bit more money and a new 4-fight contract. So and not only those two things, but just being the guy that they can count on, like if you're like a diva and you're like, no, my toe hurts, or, this is bothering me, and you're pulling out of fights for whatever reason on a constant basis, I think it's easier for the UFC to want to cut you. But look at me, I'm 3-5 in the UFC, and I just got a new UFC deal because I've been one of those guys that's willing to take the short notice fight, step up and save a fight card, and just roll with the punches like that.
Charles Jourdain, like, I'm a Canadian, like, this guy's been hyped up for quite some time around here. Like, I've heard about him, I think, since like his third, fourth pro fight. But how much do you kind of know about him?
The one fight that kind of put him on the map was the Doo Ho Choi fight, where he knocked him out because Doo Ho Choi is a savage in his own right, and so obviously I'd watched that fight, and when that Charles Jourdain had knocked him out, I was like, holy crap, who's this guy? And so I pay attention to the fights. I watched him fight Marcelo as well. Marcelo took that fight short notice, up a weight class for his UFC debut. So there's some variables involved in that, but obviously Charles Jourdain did a really good job in that fight. Ended up getting the finish. And so, he definitely has a really good style, and he uses it really well for his striking. He's got really good kickboxing. I think he lacks a little bit in the wrestling and grappling department compared to a guy like me. I just don't showcase that very often because I like to, I'm one of those guys that likes to stand and bang too. But one of the big takeaways from that Choi fight that I had my last time and was that, I need to be a little bit smarter about my game planning and not just go in there and fight, fight to fight. I need to fight smart and put the fight into positions that are beneficial for me. And I think, if I wrestle with Jourdain for 15 minutes, I win every time. If I grapple with him for 15 minutes, I win every time. If I stand and strike with him, we could be flipping a coin, and he might have the edge on that. So, I really definitely want to make it, my type of race. I want to really be able to use MMA to the fullest. I want to do mixed martial arts. I don't want to just kickbox with this kid.
How do you see yourself winning? Just like you kind of broke it down there, but I think this is a fight where we've seen Jourdain get taken down quite often.
Yeah, for sure. I think I just rewatched the Andre Fili versus Charles Jourdain fight, and me and Andre Fili are built pretty similar, long, lanky guys, and we have decent striking too, and I think Fili might have stood up a little too long with him, even though he in his own right was doing pretty good. He got dropped once in the first round, I think, but after that, every time he initiated takedowns, it seemed like it was relatively easy for him to get him down and hold him down and control him a little bit, especially in the second and third round when Jourdain gets a little more tired. I think he kind of comes out the gate firing pretty hard and fast, and so I think he starts to fade out a little bit. But still, his cardio seems to be pretty fantastic. But I think Andre Fili, I think if he would have wrestled a little bit more, he might have been able to finish him. But I think that's kind of the similar game plan that I'm going to have against Charles Jourdain is kind of how Andre Fili fought him.
Well, what do you think a win over Charles? Like, where do you think that kind of puts you in the featherweight division?
For me, I'm not even worried about that kind of thing. It's just so weird because, I don't even know how accurate these rankings are because, 2 fights ago, I beat Nate Landwehr, and Nate Landwehr had one fight in the UFC, beat Elkins, but because he beat Elkins, he was ranked like 28th or something. So he jumped from being a nobody to 28th in the world of featherweights. I'm like, just because he beat Elkins, I mean, it was a big name for him to beat, but it's like if you beat, you could beat one guy and you could just jump up there, and so. Like I said, styles make matchups, and so if I beat Charles Jourdain, it's good. It's good for my resume, and honestly, it's just about winning. All I want to do is be winning fights in the UFC. I'm not really worried about where I stack up or where I'm ranked. I just want to, focus on the fight, win the fight, and move on. Because if you don't win the fight, then you stack up nowhere. So the most important thing is to win the fight. Then I can figure out where I stack up.
You said you kind of wanted one fight more by the end of the year, but since you took this one on like a week and a half, you think you can still get one more in after this if everything goes your way?
Yeah, for sure. You can always make something happen. And I'm one of those guys, like I said, I stay in shape, throughout the year. And so, and the biggest thing I think for most fighters is the weight cut. that's the thing that takes the most preparation. We train every day. We all know how to fight. I can take a short notice fight and be confident in my abilities to fight. I've been doing this for 12 years. It's not like I signed a fight contract and now I'm going to start working my technique. I mean, I work technique every day. That's all I do for my as my career. And so it's always just kind of about the weight. But I've really been set in my mind about keeping my weight at a reasonable distance from my weight class, because once you get to I'm 6'1", I got a big frame, so it's easy for my body to put weight on. So I just need to be diligent about keeping myself around a reasonable mark to make featherweight, within 3 weeks if I need to, and not have to pass up on opportunities like I almost had to pass up on this one. So I could see myself, if everything goes my way, if I go in there and starch this dude in the first round and have no injuries, I could definitely get another fight within the year if the UFC is willing to book me.
Do you really plan to call anyone out, or at this point it's just whoever the UFC offers you?
Well, I was looking for a fight for a while, and so I was trying to set something up with a couple different fighters. So maybe I'll call them out. Steven Peterson, he beat his last fight. He beat Chase Hooper, but he had called out Nate Landwehr, who I had beaten 2 fights ago, and then Nate Landwehr got booked for October 18th, and so I reached out to Steven Peterson about maybe me and him fighting. Respectfully, I sent him a direct message asking him, whatever time is good for you, November or October, November, December, whatever you want, we can run it. Nate Landwehr is already booked up, so unless you want to wait till next year to fight, like you and me could line something up. And no response. I even had a post on my Instagram about it. No response. Like tagged him. I know he's seen it, and I've even messaged him on some of his stories and just completely ignoring me. So I don't think he wants to fight me. And then I also asked my manager to reach out to Darren Elkins to see if maybe he would want to line something up, because after his fight against Derek Minner, he said that he didn't really care who he was fighting. He just wanted to fight in October. And I was like, well, I could be that somebody he doesn't care about. Like, I could be that guy. So I asked Jason House to reach out to him, but no response back from that either. So I'm not saying that either one of them are afraid to fight me or anything. Maybe just doesn't work around their schedules or whatever they got going on. But for me, I'm not a big caller-outer. The only reason why I was trying to call those guys out was just to get a fight. I really needed a fight and wanted to schedule something up. And so, for me, it's just focus on this fight, and then I can move past it after that.
Just last thing, like, I think it was after the Woodson fight we talked, something that kind of stuck out to me still was you were saying how you kind of want to be the Justin Gaethje featherweight and just kind of put on these exciting fights, get the bonuses. Like, your mindset, like, what's kind of changed from the first and second stint to this one?
Things put when you fight, obviously, when you do this for a career, a lot of things come into perspective, like, after winning a fight or losing a fight. And that's always what I've wanted to do. I've always wanted to be an exciting fan favorite, because you see guys get cut all the time just because they're boring, and it's they could be winning fights and they get cut. So for me, I want to solidify my job by being exciting. And if you go out there and you're an exciting fight, and even if you lose, you still earn the respect of the UFC. And I think that's something I've done. Even because my record's 3-5 with them, but I've been able to keep my job with them or get my job back multiple times with the UFC, and I think it's because of that. I'm willing to go out there and not only say yes to short notice fights and say yes to the majority of any fights that they've ever offered me. I've never said no to any opponent they've ever offered me, and it seems like a lot of people are doing that now. But on top of that, just going out there and wanting to put a show on. I can do that still, but I need to be a little smarter about it, especially with certain opponents. Choi is lightning fast, and he was throwing heat, and standing in the pocket with a guy like that is probably not the best idea, and that was my mistake. But I want to be exciting, but I need to be smarter about it.
All right, well, Julian, I appreciate the time, especially on short notice of the fight coming up next weekend. But thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, we're joined by former Bellator fighter now competing on the Contender Series, Chidi Njokuani. Chidi, how's it going, man?
Going good, bro. How's everything?
I'm doing well. You're a guy, you've headlined a ton of Bellator shows. Like, I know you went to LFA. Like, are you surprised you're in the Contender Series? Because I thought you're a guy that maybe get a short notice call and maybe just get signed right away.
Yeah. Man, it's whatever. I'm down to fight whoever. So it doesn't matter if it's Contender Series or not. I'll take any route I can to get to the UFC. You know.
You've been a mainstay in Bellator. Like, you fought the who's who, like Andre Koreshkov, John Salter, Rafael Carvalho. Like, you beat the likes of, like, Max Griffin and Melvin Gillard. So how much do you think that experience is going to help you? Because the Contender Series, like, it's a lot of people's first big stage for a lot of these fighters, but you've already headlined shows. You've already been in front of the bright lights.
Yeah, I think the experience is going to play a big part in this, you know. Like you said, I've headlined the big shows, so I'm not unfamiliar with those territories. So, yeah, it's good for me, man. I like it.
When you were in Bellator, like, were you always kind of hoping to get to the UFC one day?
I was happy at Bellator, you know. It wasn't any issues or anything there, so I was cool being over there. I wasn't wishing to go to UFC or anything, but just things changing, and times are different now. So now it's time to make a run in the UFC.
When did the Contender Series, like, first kind of come on your radar, possibly fighting there?
I think they hit me up back in like March maybe, and they just kept happening. I think the fight kept getting pushed back, and now we finally have a solid date.
Was this something, like, were you always kind of staying ready just in case a short notice fight came out at middleweight, just because you're obviously on the UFC's radar?
Yeah, I was always in the gym staying ready, and I was just preparing for one of those COVID calls, and I was just gonna hop on board. But we decided to just go ahead and take the Contender route to secure fight. But I mean, if anything popped up in between, I would have took it because I was just staying ready. But I'm cool with just taking this Contender fight, you know.
Your opponent, Mario Souza, like, he fought on the Contender Series last year. Like, how much do you know about him?
I don't really know much about him. I know he's built pretty similar to me, and he's a striker, I'm assuming, because he has a handful of knockouts. So, yeah, I just know it's going to be a good fight. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, he does have some grappling as well, but I don't think it's really anything you haven't seen before, because you've fought a lot of high-level grapplers and strikers.
Right. But I mean, he's Brazilian, so I think all know jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So just regardless, I'll be prepared.
Fighting September 7th, like, it's basically been a full year since you last fought. Like, what's this past year been like for you then?
A lot of growth, man. I think this past year I probably took advantage of it the most, and just staying in the gym and staying prepared and getting better, and going through like the ups and downs of injuries and all that. So like, this year I think helped me get to the next level and helped me prepare for this moment.
I think what surprised a lot of people is you're only 32. Just because you've been in Bellator, like, when you were like 2014 or 2015, like, you've been a while. Like, do you kind of feel like you're just kind of hitting your prime right now?
Yeah, hell yeah. I feel like I'm right in the middle of my prime, and it's dope. It's dope.
Obviously, I know you've probably watched Contender Series. You kind of know what Dana likes, like, getting the finishes. Is there, like, how much pressure is on you not just to win, but get a finish to really solidify yourself getting a contract?
That's not really much like I don't know. I don't really have that pressure on that. I'm just looking forward to go out there and putting on a good fight. And I know if I do that, then I'll impress him whether or not I get the finish. Like, just my skills, period, are gonna be something that he's looking for.
How do you see yourself getting your hand raised?
That's always a mystery, man. I feel like it can end anywhere. Decision, a submission, or a knockout. I'm capable of doing all three.
Something that is kind of weird with the contender series is not many people there. Like, I don't even know if they are going to have fans. Cause I know there's fans of the Apex cards, but like it's only like 50 or 100. So like, what's that going to be like fighting just in front of basically Dana White and the matchmakers?
Cool. I mean, my last fight in RFA was the same way. We didn't have a crowd, so I kind of got used to that. And it wasn't too bad. We were quiet. Not many people were talking, so but it wasn't bad.
Smaller octagon at the Apex. Like, do you think that really plays a factor in the fight?
Nah, I don't really pay attention to that. Once you get to a certain level, it's like it's not much of a difference.
I know you've kind of been trained at a couple different places. Like, where is the main camp for this one?
This one I was back in Dallas. I was with Saxon Janjura and Janjura Muay Thai out in Carrollton. And what's up?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, what's kind of training like down there, being back there?
Oh, it's dope, man. It's kind of like just getting back to my roots, and Saxon knows me like the back of his hand, so it was nice, like to be there and him correct like little things that people haven't seen or people don't even notice that I'm doing wrong. So he's able to like catch on to those things. So it was dope, and they helped push me. They kept me in shape. And now I'm back out here in Vegas, and I'm finishing up camp with One Kick, Nick, and Sergio Pena. So back with my whole team. So it's been a pretty interesting camp, man, and it's dope, bro. Like I won't forget this one at all.
How much is the camp focusing on your opponent? Is it more just kind of improving stuff you already do, just because you are pretty well rounded?
Yeah, it's not really. Yeah, it's the fight doesn't really have much to do with the guy I'm fighting. It's like I need to be out there making sure I'm in the right place and my movement is right and all that shit. Like I'm not really too worried about him, because if I'm on point, then it doesn't matter who's out there with me, you know.
You end up getting the contract. Like, what's that mean for you to be considered a UFC fighter?
It would be dope. It would be dope because my brother started out fighting for the UFC, and it would be dope to like follow in his footsteps and go out there and take our last name a little further, you know. It would be cool.
How much have you talked to your brother about this one? Just because he's obviously fought in the UFC before.
All the time. I'm staying at his place right now. On the town, he keeps me on point with everything. Yeah.
I know you haven't fought in a year, so you get your hand raised here. Like, are you hoping that UFC debut comes pretty quickly then?
It is what it is. If it comes, it comes. If it don't, it don't. Like, regardless, whatever happens is gonna happen, and I'm just here to enjoy the ride.
I know a lot of people always go, "Oh, Bellator is like lower than the UFC, like they can't compete." But seeing guys like Michael Chandler and all the like Eddie Alvarez, all those guys that come over, like, does that give you some confidence where you've seen what they did? And like, you were at the top of your own division, Bellator. Like, you know, you can probably hang with a lot of the top guys of the UFC.
Yeah. I feel like I can, and I already fought a lot of you guys in there too, so that's another edge that I got. But fight's a fight, man. It's all the same. I mean, I don't
know. Just last question, like, what's kind of fight week gonna be like for you? It's on a Tuesday, like kind of a weird day to be fighting on. Like, do you just kind of lock it all down and like just kind of stay in the hotel room, or you someone to, like, kind of go out and explore a little?
Nah, I tend to just kind of lock it down. I don't really, especially when I was cutting a lot of weight and I was going down to 170. I didn't have time to explore shit. I was too busy trying to get that weight down, you know. So I just kind of got used to just chilling and kicking it with the team, getting some workouts in, grabbing some food. Now that I'm fighting at 85, I can eat and feel energized. It's like a lot less stress. So it's just chill.
Actually, that's just one more thing I wanted to touch on was you've been at 85 for a while now, but like, how much better do you feel? Like, because 170, when you're going down there, like that was a lot of weight you were cutting.
terrible. It was like a fight before the fight, and that shit affected me big time. But now I'm cool. Like fight week, I'm actually smiling and talking to people. Before it was like you can see the difference, and I was just always angry and just never felt good. I was always stressed out trying to figure out if I was gonna make the weight. So now I feel good. I feel strong. I feel healthy. Go out there and put on a show.
All right, well, Chidi, that's all I got for you. Thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, bro. Anytime.